Hi, I want to introduce you to the 5-hour rehearsal process. This idea was conceived by Alice Spivak at HB Studios in her technique class. And she introduced it to the world in her book, How to Rehearse When There Is No Rehearsal. I called her, I got her permission to share this with you, and I'm doing so because my students absolutely love it. And I see the effects of it because they take more responsibility, independence, and ownership of their work because they're rehearsing on their own. They're getting ready for coaching, getting ready for direction, making so many of their own choices first. I have asked students of mine, Allie Palmer and Rachel Foley, if they wouldn't mind demonstrating aspects of this 5-hour process in a scene by Diana's son called Stop Kiss. It's a three-legged stool, actor, director, and playwright. And I think they've been born and raised to basically take orders. And so that's why they're always raising their hand and saying, would you mind if is it okay if well, this takes that out of the equation. 5 hours, independent hours, they rehearse on their own. First hour, it kind of mirrors the 5-week rehearsal process in regional theater. The first hour is table work, reading the scene to one another for information, connecting with each other, looking up as much as possible, and then discussing it. What's going on? What are the given circumstances? What happened before the scene? What's about to happen? Who are we? What is our relationship? It's all that. 1 hour, conversation, mining the scene for given circumstances. Hour 2 is setting up the environment. They're making the choice for the set. Maybe given instruction by the playwright, but they set it up. They begin to bring in props. They make those choices. They're on their feet, much like in regional theater or any stage production. Book in hand. And as they go through the script, they're still making those connections with one another. Stop and go is fine. And they are doing blocking that they come up with. And they are changing it every time they do it. Trying different things. That's the key. They need to feel free to try as many things as possible when they're first on their feet. Not to try to do it right, but just to see how it feels in different ways. Hour 2. Hour 3 is repetition in thirds. Say it's a 5-minute scene, so they'll take about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, and repeat it 3, 4, 5 times. Book in hand. Now the words are starting to stick. They're still working on different props and blocking and connecting and asking themselves with what's happening here, what do I want here, what's my objective here, why am I saying what I'm saying, but repeating it again in thirds, not the whole thing. Second third, 2 or 3, 4 times before they move on. Third, 2 or 3, 4 times. That's hour 3. Hour 4 is also in sections, but now the words are starting to stick and they're starting to keep certain activities that they have chosen, and they're still doing it in thirds. And then I generally like to see it as their coach, teacher, director in hour 4 to begin introducing various techniques, whether it be a repetition exercise or a psychological gesture, or perhaps I would do extending the scene, subtext through. We might take the lines and just keep going with whatever occurs to them, to keep saying whatever they're thinking. So it's kind of a thinking through. I might come in hour 4, but I don't have to. That's hour 4, it's still theirs. Hour 5 then is pretty much a dress rehearsal of the scene. They've been adding their own costume choices for what fits their character. I want them to begin talking to costume directors as the actor who knows. Here's what I think my character would wear. Here's what I think they need. Here's what I would like. I think this would be creative. I want more of a dialogue as opposed to simply being students. And I've seen this in my profession for decades. of actors afraid to speak their mind, either with blocking, with costumes, even with sets. This is difficult for me. I need to blah, blah, blah. Or I want them to see their world through their character's eyes and begin feeling ownership, responsibility, and independence to do so. So that's our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thank you, Alice. Thanks to my students, Ali Palmer and Rachel Foley. And thanks to you for being in that room with them. And thank you for being in this room with me for a few minutes.